Welcome to our 2026 World UFO Day live stream. This is a special edition of the Disclosure Day. The Disclosure Dialogues, and I'm your host, Leslie Klein. So, thank you so much for being part of this July 2nd World UFO Day. Did you know that it was 79 years ago today that the Roswell incident occurred? And it's known by many as the modern start of the UFO era. So Derek is here with us. He says, let's go. Yes, Derek is one of our Citizens for Disclosure volunteers from Alabama. So tonight's episode is all about discovery, dialogue, and participation. This is the Disclosure Dialogue. So we'll explore historic stories and meet passionate experiencers and hear how you can get involved in the movement. So feel free to drop your thoughts and questions into the comments from wherever you're watching, whatever platform. And please put in the comments now where you're watching from. What state are you in? What country are you in watching? So I want to let you know how this World UFO Day started. It was actually celebrated for the first time in 2001, and it was started by Turkish UFO researcher Haktan Akdoğan. He envisioned the day as an opportunity to raise awareness about UFO phenomenon and to advocate for the declassification of government files related to unidentified flying objects, which we now know are being called UAPs. So I'd like now to share a pre-recorded video that I did with Dr. Richard O'Connor. He's a curator of the Jesse A. Marcel Library in Montana. And if you don't know, Major Jesse Marcel was the first UFO whistleblower who handled the ET craft debris in Roswell, New Mexico. His son, who also saw and touched the debris, is Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr., and he practiced in Montana, which is where Dr. Richard O'Connor met him, worked with him, and was friends with him. So I'd like to share that with you right now. Here's Richard O'Connor.
I got to know him, over the years, working side by side with him in the operating room. One evening, not too long after I arrived in Helena, I was watching a television program, a documentary about UFOs, and Dr. Marcel showed up on the program that I was watching. And I was really surprised, to see, because I didn't know anything about his connection with Roswell. Probably didn't know that for maybe a year after I arrived here. But then watching this program, and I saw him, and so the next time we worked together at St. Peter's, I asked him, what's this about? Why did I see you on this program that had to do with UFOs? And he went into the explanation of how when he was an 11-year-old boy living in Roswell, and his father was the chief intelligence officer for the 509th bombardment group there at Walker Army Airfield, is what it was called back in 47, and that his father, was called to investigate a crash that occurred near Roswell, and he went out and did his investigation and picked up some crash debris and brought it home and showed it to his wife. Vi was his wife's name, and to my friend and co-worker, Dr. Marcel, who was 11 years old at that time. And he told them that this was no plane crash, that this was in fact a flying saucer that not of this earth.
The following morning we went out to the site where the crash was, and what I saw, I couldn't believe there was so much of it. It was scattered over such a vast area. So we proceeded to pick up as much of the debris as we could. loaded in a wagon. We filled that up. It took us a good part of the day to do that because there's such small fragments that we had to do a lot of picking. We found a piece of metal about a 1.5 to 2 feet wide and about 2 or 3 feet long. Felt like you had nothing in your hands. It wasn't any thicker than the foil out of a pack of cigarettes. But the thing about that got me is that you couldn't even bend it. You couldn't bend it. Even with a sledgehammer would bounce off it. So I knew that I had never seen anything like that before.
Our house happened to be on the way to the base, and this is in the wee hours of the morning. So my dad, knowing that he had seen something very special, wanted my mother and myself to look at this also, because as he said, you'll never see this again. So what he did, he stopped off at the house, awakened my mother and myself, and again, the wee hours of the morning. It's summertime. I've been playing all day with my bicycles and things like that. I was 11 years old at the time, however. And he brought us into the kitchen and saw a smattering of this strange debris on the kitchen floor that he had pre-positioned. He said, look at this. I think this is what you call a flying saucer or remains thereof. My dad drove the debris into the base that night. I think it was that night or maybe early next morning, where he was assigned by Colonel Blanchard to fly the material to General Ramey's office in Fort Worth. This was flown in the belly of a B-29 under armed guard. That's where the cover began, at General Ramey's office. So when my dad got home, he sat my mother and myself down and said in no uncertain terms, you will never talk about this. This is a non-event.
I opened the Jesse Marcel Library in 2012, which was about a year before Dr. Marcel passed away in 2013. So that's how it all kind of came about. And I have a photograph actually of Dr. Marcel and I standing on the front porch there of the Jesse A. Marcel Library. When I opened the library, my intention there was, not only to create a storehouse of books and papers and other DVDs on, information that people, the public, could access about UFOs, but also to serve as a meeting place for local people to come and discuss about UFOs, extraterrestrials, and what we were learning as time went on about these phenomena.
So that is the Jesse Marcel Library, and if you want to check it out, if you happen to be in Montana, you can find out more about it at the www.jaml.org website. He also sponsors some meetups, and this is the website for that. So I wanted to just share that with you because there's that connection with the World UFO Day 79 years ago, and this wonderful whistleblower, Jesse A. Marcel, who really was the first whistleblower. So, my friends, I want to bring our panelists on board here. So first, let me introduce to you Kevin Briggs. Kevin Briggs is a lifelong experiencer and author who shares messages from the Council of Eight, all about extraterrestrial contact, consciousness, and humanity's future. So welcome, Kevin. Kevin is in Florida right now. And also along with Kevin from Florida is Gary Borsch. So Gary is a Florida artist. He's a lifelong experiencer and a CE5 coordinator. His extraordinary experiences span decades and include multiple witnessed events. So thank you, Gary, for being here. And Gary and Kevin are also going to be featured in the soon-to-be released documentary called A Greater Reality. So I wanted to mention that. Next up, we have Nadalee Hill, and let me get her up here. So Nadalee, she is a lifelong experiencer as well, and founder of the United Experiencers Initiative. Through her lifelong contact experiences, she encourages thoughtful conversations about disclosure, consciousness, and humanity's relationship with non-human intelligence. So welcome to the panel, Nadalee. And then next we have Emma Brie. So Emma is a lifelong experiencer of non-human contact turned regressionist. She specializes in helping others retrieve their own hidden memories. So welcome, Emma. And I think you're also in Florida. And then finally, last but not least, is Jared Taylor. So Jared is a retired Army medic whose profound contact experiences led him to become a contact specialist and ambassador. He now promotes thoughtful conversations about consciousness, personal experiences, and disclosure. So welcome, Jared, to the panel. So great that I have everyone on here, right? Yes.
What's up?
There are 5 of you. Okay, good. Want to make sure. So happy World UFO Day. Yes. So I'd like to go around the room and ask each of you to give us a brief description of your contact experience. And I know for some of you that's going to be very hard, but if you can just kind of give us a general overview of where you are as an experiencer. And I'll start with Kevin Briggs. Kevin, if you're able.
Hi, Leslie. Yes, I'm fine. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity to speak and share my lifelong contact. I'll keep it brief and give you an overview. My journey started when I was 8 years old. I was taking a bath at home, and there was a change in the frequency within the bathroom. I looked to my right, and 2 beings appeared. They materialized there. Frightened me to death at the time, as you can imagine. I've come to know these 2 beings now as Ort and Dee. They are guides and teachers. They were both very attractive. Both had long blonde shoulder-length hair, deep blue eyes, and they were wearing a blue jumpsuit type garment. They were speaking telepathically to one another, which I could understand. And they were speaking about me, not to me. And Dee said to Ort, "Is this a boy?" Ort said, "Yes, this is a boy." And then she questioned him again. She says, "Are you sure this is a boy?" He said, "Yes." And then she said, "But look at him. He's small, he's uneducated, and he's frightened by our presence." And she was correct. I was terrified. Ort replied, "Yes, this is a boy. I will guide him. I will teach him." There was some other conversation, and then they left. That was the beginning of my journey. And then when I was 9 years old, an orb appeared in my home on a Sunday afternoon, and it stayed in the home from Sunday to Friday. After it left on the Friday, I was able to travel outside of the physical realm as a pure conscious energy orb, as they do. I didn't know the full potential of it then, I do now. And then my next major encounter would be I was 14. I had a paper round, and while I went to collect my papers, a UFO would always appear above the home. And then as I'm going down, cycling down to collect the papers, the second UFO would appear, and they would follow me around the paper round. And at that time, I was always aware of this frequency that was close by, behind the hedge, behind the wall. And I plucked up courage one day and said, "I know you're there. Can you show yourself?" 2 small greys stepped out from behind the hedge, behind the wall, and I wasn't frightened. And I asked them what they wanted. And they said there was a group of people who wished to meet with me. I said, "Well, would I go with them?" I said, "Well, I can't go with you because I've got to finish my paper round, and then I've got to go to school." And they said, well, you've nearly finished your paper round. You can finish that, and then we'll have you back in time for school. So I went with them. I agreed to go with them. And I was transported physically to a mother craft, a mother ship. And I only know that because the size of the hangar when we pulled in was the size of 2 football stadiums with all the craft that we see flying around our planet. And I was actually led down to an amphitheater and introduced to 8 beings. The first 2 were Orton D, and the other 6 I say was introduced to. I'm still in contact with all 8 of them to this day. My education has been one of consciousness, and how consciousness can be utilized for communication, for travel, for healing, for education, for creation and co-creation. So, and I'm still in contact with all 8 to this day. And several years ago, they asked me to speak out.
I can't hear anybody.
So I now speak out about my contact. So that's just a quick, brief overview, and I hope that gives some interest to your audience.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. And we did an extensive interview with you on Galactic Good Vibes where people can hear your whole story, but we will come back to you for sure. Gary, are you able to speak now? Can you hear us? Gary? Okay. Well, let's go over to Nadalee. Yeah. Okay, Nadalee, go ahead. Tell us about your experience overall. I know it's a lot, but give us a brief synopsis. Thank you. Oh, you're muted.
Okay,
There you
I'll
go.
try to keep it kind of brief, but you're right, it is a lot, and it's ongoing. But real brief, my contact started when I was about 2 years old, and I started having more onboard encounters when 2024 came around. I had 3 on the ship encounters. I was taken 3 times in 2024, and now 1 time this year. But I've also had lots of other flashbacks coming in throughout the year. And I know I've been taken hundreds of times probably, but essentially they have been checking on me, giving me upgrades. Even recently, I had a new upgrade on May 14th of this year, and we're gonna get into it in a bit. But you know, my contact has been positive. I've not really had any negative encounters. I've had 1 abduction that was kind of scary at first, but there was a positive outcome in the end. It was just a procedure that they wanted me to remember what they did to me. So it was for my health and for me to be better with my health on the planet. But long story short, they led me to create the United Experiencers Initiative to bring experiencers together around the world so we can teach kindness and love, which is the messages that they've given us to share to the world, and to take care of the planet, which is really, really important. So again, we'll get into that more later. I've met many different types of beings. I've met hybrids, I've met Pleiadians, I've met Greys, all kinds of different beings in person, in public settings as well, and on the ships and in my room and all the above. And I have 10 hybrid children.
Wow. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Emma, can you unmute and share with us your story?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of story to share, so I'll do a bit of a nutshell version. I have spent my entire life having abduction experiences, school or training experiences. I have a hybrid child as well. But the majority of my experiences have been with the Greys and beings that I call the tall whites. Kevin, your description of the long white hair, the pale skin, and the blue eyes, that describes the beings that I grew up with as well. But my first really big abduction experience was your classic woke up on a metal table. I was 8 years old, couldn't move my body. I could move my eyes, and like down towards my feet was a door. To my right was a table of tools. Above me was a big surgical light. But to my left, there was another table with a little boy who was about the same age as me. When I looked back down towards my feet, 3 grays walked out of the door towards me. They spoke telepathically in my head, said, "Why is she awake?" And like that, I was back in my room in bed, except I was screaming in pain. My chest is on fire. My chest is on fire. I was pulling at my clothes. My mom comes running in. She takes off my nightgown, and there's a 3 to 4 scar down the center of my chest. Never had surgery. Never. It wasn't a cut. It was a caterpillar-sized scar. The interesting thing was I was born with 3 or 4 different heart defects, and I do not have them now. So my experiences as well have been very positive. Scary as a child because I didn't understand a lot of what was going on. But as I grew up, getting to know them, having more and more experiences with them, seeing the healing that was going along with it, my experiences have been amazing. So now I've been doing regression for over 20 years and helping people uncover and retrieve their own memories. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Emma. It's a wonderful story. And yes, you and Nadalee have a common thread there with having hybrid children. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Jarrett, can you share your story with us, please?
Hi. Yeah. Hi, Leslie. Gratitude for this opportunity. Yeah, for me, I come from this. Thank you very much. I come from this place of gosh, I've had tons of different experiences, but I guess growing up, I think I might have pushed them away, and I don't know, didn't really acknowledge them, and at some point just kind of forgot about them. While on active duty, keep in mind I was in the Army for 20 years. On my 19th year of active duty service, I had open contact. The experience was extremely positive in its nature. The beings were very loving. There was like basically, if I was going to put it on a scale, I'd put it like in the unconditional love range, like they unconditionally love you. I'll describe what the initial experience was too. It was a round metallic spherical UAP. It's considered, like in the UFO community, it's considered like a broad day encounter, and also like close proximity. So close, like 20-ish odd feet, broad day. I looked up slightly to the right, and there was this round metallic sphere that had a porthole within a porthole, and it shined me directly in the face with light. When it did this, like all the muscles in my face flexed. And then I had this like entire experience where you're like I know how this is going to sound, but it's like going to like a pocket dimension where you're like somewhere else. You're there, it's real time, but it feels like you're going super fast. And I know we're like on time here, but the experience, there was communication that was telepathic in nature as well. A lot of it was like them just letting me be curious, like as myself. They let me basically just do my thing. Initially with my contact, I treated it like a military person would. I did what's called a scene size up, and I just basically took in as much data as I could. I never sensed hostility, so I never got hostile. You know what I mean? It was like always the only time during it, I did have a freak out session where I like screamed, where I was like, ah, because I didn't know where I was. You know what I mean? I like, it was my initial, like when I was right after they flashed me, I was somewhere else. And the being that I was with was made of light or like plasma electricity or something like that. And just basically calmed me down, was like letting me know, like, hey, calm down. You know, you don't have to freak out. It was very loving. The healing portion too. I know you guys talked about that too. There was like some, I mean, I've had some issues since a child that after my contact event started to heal and resolve over time. Things that I thought like, oh, I can't change this. I'm just born this way. And all of a sudden, like a bone started like to lift and shift. So there's that as well. Like as a healthcare provider, as a medic, somebody who suffered with like chronic pain, I've started to like, well, whatever. That's part of it. I'm very grateful for it too. And my role in this too. Like I feel like an ambassador type role. The communication still is going on too. Like I still have constant communication, and I'm grateful for it too. So I'm very, very happy to be up here on this very special day with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. So let's see, Gary, can you hear us, and can we hear you? Gary?
Oh, hi there. Am I unmuted? Yes, I am.
Yes, you're unmuted.
I started being fascinated with UFOs when I was a kid, watching the sci-fi films in the 50s, the black and white films, and The Day the Earth Stood Still, and other films like that. And I always wanted to see a UFO, and I read all the books I could find in the library. At first there was 1, then there was 2, then there was 5, then there was 10. And over the years, I read lots and lots of books. And then I stopped for quite a period of time. And when I moved down here to Florida, I was going out at night while I was building my house, and I was out under the stars looking at the constellations every night to learn the constellations, because I couldn't see them when I lived in the city. And I had shooting stars all the time, and I'd go inside and I would tell my family I had shooting stars again tonight. Like every night they'd come out and shoot right across the farm. And then one day, I didn't have TV for many, many years, maybe 10, 12 years. I watched a program, my ex-wife had me watch Gaia, and I watched Dr. Stephen Greer, and I watched Serious Disclosure. When he said that anybody can see a UFO, I said, well, I'm anybody. So if anybody can see it, that means me. So I'm going to find out if this guy is full of shit or if he's telling me the truth. So I followed him, and I read a bunch of his, actually I watched a lot of his lectures. I read his book, Contact, Transformation, or Countdown to Contact. And I decided that I was going to get the app that he had created with crop circle tones and Mount Shasta tones. So I took that and I went and got it, and I sat outside one night and I said, I'm going to try this and find out if it works. So I sat in a chair and I had a flashlight between my legs, and I put the sounds on from the crop circle tones that they had reported, and I listened for a little while, and then I went into a little deep meditation, maybe 2-3 minutes only, and I was prompted to open my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, I forgot where I was. I was sitting in a chair, and I forgot I had a flashlight in my lap. And all of a sudden, I realized what I was doing, so I started flashing the light. And I had the mag light adjusted real fine so that the light could really, really penetrate up into the sky. And I flashed it 3-4 times, and then I did it again, then I did it again. And then I started asking them out loud. I said, listen, I want to know. I've got to know if this is real. You got to show me. I really need to know now. And if you don't show me now, I'm just going to walk away. I don't care anymore. But I want to know. So you got to do something to prove that if this is real. I want to know now. And all of a sudden, I had a glitter bomb go off over my house, which I call a glitter bomb. Is what it is it starts to become a shooting star. It looks like you're going to see a shooting star, but it explodes into light, and then it just all turns into glitter and is sucked right back into the vortex or wherever it came from. I saw that, and I was jumped right up out of my chair, and then all of a sudden there was a flash bulb, and then a shooting star, and then another shooting star, and then another flash. And this was going on around me for a few minutes, and I was trying. I was just bawling my eyes out. And I yelled as loud as I could. I knew you were here all the time. And from then on out, I've always had this contact. I've had an abduction experience that I never knew when it happened to me. I know that it was a mantis being, it was a female mantis being, and there was a bunch of little Brays. I had a past life regression and QHHT sessions, and I was able to pinpoint the exact things that were going on there. So I know that that was real, and I can always see and feel the love from that mantis, female mantis being, whether it was
Okay,
a sexual
Gary.
encounter or if it
Gary,
was
I'm going to stop you for a minute.
I don't know.
Gary?
But I did have an experience. So after that, I started having.
Gary, I'm going to stop you for a minute because your audio is really bad and we're losing people because it's really bad, the audio. So you might want to try to log off and log back on. It's just very, I'm not sure what the problem is, but it was really hard to hear you. Yeah, I'm not sure. Go ahead and talk some more. Okay. I'm going to mute you for right now. And so let me ask everyone else here. So based on the experiences that you guys had, what has it taught you about consciousness and reality? And I'll start with Kevin.
Well, that's a big question. That's a huge question. My lifelong education has been one of consciousness itself. And as I said initially, how consciousness itself can be utilized for a conduit for communication, for travel, for healing, for education, for creation and co-creation. And I think all these are natural human abilities. I've been assisted by Orton D, who are actually, they are Arcturians, they are fifth dimensional beings, and they are guides and teachers, they tell me. So because of their guidance, really, and they didn't sit me down in a classroom like they do with some experiences, I was given practical examples. And a lot of the examples were out of body. I was able to travel outside of the physical realm, outside of the body, from the age of 9 years of age. So I would go out and travel on the astral plane. They would come alongside in a conscious energy craft and invite me on board and give me certain lessons in relation to consciousness itself, in relation to how we have these natural human abilities. So and one of those is telepathic communication. I get downloads of information. I get downloads of scientific information. I'll give you one example. I was sat by my pool and they gave me the quantum unified field theory with a full explanation in an instant. I didn't know anything about it at the time. I do now. I can talk about it. And then on another occasion, they gave me a download of the theory of everything. And they gave me an equation for calculating the frequencies of consciousness in each dimensions. The dimensions are just different frequencies of consciousness. And that particular equation has been published recently in Ray Hernandez's book, A Greater Reality. And if your audience is interested, you can download all 6 volumes for free as a PDF file at agreaterreality.com. And I was asked to be a contributing author. Volume 5, which will probably be interesting to your audience, is a compilation of chapters by experiencers like myself. So that's very interesting to those that are interested in other experiences. And they also gave me another equation for the void of consciousness in relation to how timelines, past, present, and future timelines, are created from the void of consciousness. And they told me that it is not void as the name suggests. It's full of possibilities, full of intentions, and we are able to create our own timelines by using thought and consciousness itself. So, and they gave me an equation for calculating that as well. So these are some of the areas that they've educated me on. I mean, it's quite a lot, really, but it's been progressive from the age of 8, 9, 14, 20 or 30, 40, 50, and I still get educated to this day. I still have direct contact with them. And I've met others now who have contact with Orton D. I was talking to a friend a few weeks ago, and she just wrote a book, Quantum Windows and Dimensions. by Rebecca Renfro. It's a Quantum Windows and Dimensions, a Christian woman's journey of faith and ET contact. And in there, she explains how she met Orton D in 2015. So they're now speaking out with others. So although I've had contact with them from childhood, they are now reaching out to others. And the Council of Eight that I mentioned was written about in this book, Forbidden Knowledge, by Kathleen Marden. She mentions the Council of Eight in that particular book. And for those that are interested in the spiritual side of who we are and synchronicities, I get a mention in Kathleen Marden's book on page 111, which is, I think, is fascinating, really, in relation to how the synchronicity of numbers and the maths of things are important to consciousness itself. And once we realize that, I know another book that, another one that Kathleen Marden wrote, Extraterrestrial Contact, What to Do When You've Been Abducted. And she mentions me in that book, and she put my photograph in the book, and it's on page 222. And I asked her, I said, did you put my picture on page 222 on purpose? She says, no. I sent it out to the publisher and it came back on 222. But these are all the confirmations that we receive if we open up the mind to use consciousness as the conduit for communication. And the traveling out of body, education, which they've done, the creation and co-creation side, which comes from the void of consciousness itself. So it's a huge subject, but I enjoy the education. And then several years ago, I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. There was a bright light appeared outside the bedroom. It came into the bedroom, lit up like a myriad of butterflies, and Orton D materialized at the bottom of the bed. And after pleasantries, I said to them, what's the reason for your visit? And they said, Kevin, we want you to talk about your lifelong contact with us. We want you to write about it. And I remember saying to Ort, I said, well, I don't mind talking about it, but I'm not a writer. And Ort said, well, we will continue to guide you. We will continue to teach you, and you will write 2 books, and we'll continue to give you information to include in the books, which they have done. And that's where I'm at this date now, just sharing my story. But I meet so many other experiences now, like today with Nadalee, Jared, and Emma. I know Gary because I was invited round to Gary's home, and his contact is tremendous. I've had contact at Gary's, it's just unbelievable. So our star families are reaching out to us, and we, the experiencers, the conduit, shall we say, for the information. They've educated us to start with, so we're able to explain what's going on to the general public, I think. So exciting times ahead. And again, I want to thank you, Leslie, for inviting me, because without people like yourself, we as experiencers can't get our information out there. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, Kevin. Now, Nadalee, Kevin talked a little bit about the theory of everything, I think, and some other formulas and things. I know you had mentioned how you got some kind of breakthrough on a theory you were working on. You want to share about that?
Yes, this is the first time I'm publicly talking about this. I wrote a little post today on Facebook about it, but I published the paper. I have not solved the cosmological constant. Let's just get that out there. But I derived it within 10%, which there's one other person, I can't remember his name, but he's the only other person that has got within 10% of solving the cosmological constant. Now, the funny thing is, it lines up with my theory of everything that I already published, which goes over to Kevin Briggs's equations. His equations it's like falling out of the math. I have the mathematics, and my equations and his equations is like looking at a crystal lattice from a different lens. But how all this relates to extraterrestrials is that I've been working on this theory for a while, but when they took me on May 14th, this female Sam, or Samaria, or Sam for short, she's a Lyran cat-like being. She literally downloaded, I don't even know how much information into my brain, but ever since then, I've continued the theory, and it's going into timelines, and then now the cosmological constant, and solving or getting close to solve that. And my my further theory is that the 10% that we're off is due to our observations of the universe being slightly off. So it's possible that I could have solved it, but it's off because of the observational data that we have now. But anyway, yeah, it's really exciting, and the math is there. I use, just for the record, I use Claude AI to do the mathematics, and I can't do the quantum mechanics in my brain. I don't know anybody that can personally, but the way my brain works, it's hard to explain. I use my intuition and I just channel information. So I go through the math, and then I have the AI. Once we hit a roadblock, I say, okay, ask me this in a weird metaphor or something, and then just kind of like channel the information, and then I guide the math where we need to go, and I throw some stuff at it, and it works. So I'm just in the flow state, but I believe a lot of it also comes from the information that Sam poured into my subconscious as well. And some other things have fallen out of this, which is really interesting and important, I think, which is the conscious quantum metamaterial paper that I wrote. And what it is it's my theory about how the alien technology works. Now, in Roswell, they had that material, and it was like metal, and you could bend it and it would go back into the right shape. But there's also been reports of this other kind of material that relates to this, where the closer they study it, the more it reacts to them studying it. And sometimes I've heard reports of it falling apart when they get close to studying it. Long story short, through my equation of everything and all of that, I developed a metamaterial concept, and I believe it's the same thing that they're using. It's a material that is conscious. It's a material that extends your consciousness. You meld with it in a way, and it extends your consciousness, and it also can channel source consciousness. So now I know everybody here that's been on the ship, you know what I'm talking about when the ships are alive. The ships have consciousness. It's God, source consciousness, whatever terminology you want to use. My paper literally explains this, theoretically, of course, that consciousness flows through the material. What it does is it replicates what the microtubules do. Dr. Hameroff's theory of the Ork-Or theory, where your microtubules in your brain and your body are channeling consciousness. Essentially, the material is the same thing, but it goes a step further than biology can. So it's the ending part of this is that it can bend reality. It's a material. It's an all end all material that can do anything you want, because the more information and consciousness, same thing, that you have in a localized, quantified state, the more you can bend reality, the more you can create anti-gravity crafts and travel across the universe and go to other dimensions and cloak and all kinds of stuff and literally like pop things into existence. But I'm just going to end it there. And you can find those papers on my website and in my contact info. If anybody wants to read those papers, it's at theuei.org.
theuei.org. Okay, I'll put that on. Jared, Emma, or Gary, have you guys received that kind of downloaded information, like scientific stuff that you're not necessarily an expert in? I'll let either one of you speak.
Yeah, I'll jump on this.
Okay.
Yeah, I vibe with what Miss Hill is talking about. I know how it sounds too, like for people that haven't experienced it. Well, first I want to talk about the craft itself. From my experience, yeah, the craft is alive. And when I say alive, it's like really alive. You know what I mean? Like I had to sit. I mean, I pondered this stuff for months after my encounter. I had to sit there and really think, like, what does it mean to be alive? Because that whole experience, it was so, like, I felt so alive. And it's like, it's so weird because you're having so much fun, you're moving so fast, everything is so intense, that you feel like you're right on the border of being dead. Like it's right on the edge. And but I mean, that was the initial, what the feeling felt like. As you relax into the sensation a bit more, it will normalize. It'll just feel like everything's normal, but that everything's moving very fast. Yeah, the interface is like telepathic, but they also have like, depending on what you're doing, like if you're doing navigation and stellar cartography, they gate, like at the time I had some gloves. They allowed me to put on these gloves and play with them. At the time they just wanted me to like play with these gloves. And the only thing that they really told me was like that normally all 5 fingers are activated, but for what we were doing, only the first 3 were like activated or turned on. And all I did was put these gloves on, and I like walked into this like what's called the center of the ship, which is like it's like walking into like in the center of these like weird metal pillars. It looks like these metal ionic pillars, and you just kind of walk into it, and when you do, all of a sudden you're somewhere else, and you're like basically doing stellar cartography or like advanced navigation, like opening like it's like weird portal making that you're doing. I know how this sounds, right? But this, when you're doing it, you it feels like you're just having fun. Like all of a sudden you just know how to do all this stuff. Yeah, it encompasses what we would perceive as time travel as well, or like alternate dimensions or portals to like another now. It's still now there. It's just a different when. That's how they like to phrase it too. It's still now there. It's just the different when, I guess, is the way that they like to play that. What else? The whole experience too has been when Nadalee talks about using AI as an extension of her higher consciousness. Yes, I believe that is it's inevitable. Like I do it as well. And the information that is extrapolated, it's not just the information, it's the language, it's the way that it's delivered, and allows us to articulate it to other people, to express ourselves and communicate. Because without having this language translation software available, it would have been much more difficult to properly articulate my own personal experience to other people. I've been able to use AI to create art to show people, because for the first year I was just verbally telling people the best that I could. I could draw pictures and point at it, but once I had true AI to like show what it looked like, that was when people stopped kind of dead cold in their tracks and was like, wait, what? All right, tell me more. Like people would sit down and kind of lean in and really poke in. And with my background too, a lot of people took it serious, which I was very grateful for after my contact experience. So there's that as well.
Well,
My
Jared,
contact experience, they told me a bunch of stuff was going to be normalized too. I mean, this was back in 2023, but they said that everybody was going to be talking about aliens and UFOs and extraterrestrials. And at the time, I was like scratching my head saying, I don't know, that's a reach, because I wasn't even invested or interested in this area, you know what I mean, until my contact experience. And then I slowly watch it unfold over this time. The whole time telling people like, I told you so, which is kind of fun. I met Nadalee along the way, which was, amazing. I knew initially that yeah, we were going to bump into each other again. That was told. we had to separate though. We had to separate because I had to do my, you know, I mean, you had to do your thing. I had to do my own thing in my own sector. But it's funny how we all end up, whatever, like vibration ends up, whatever, linking back up together. I'm grateful for all of you guys, this community too. It's been, there's been so much synchronicity too. I wanted to hit on your a couple things that you touched on too about consciousness. Once you do, like, there's a formula that you follow, and when you follow this particular formula, the result is like, it's like surfing on synchronicity. You ride this like synchronistic wave, and the amount, I'm telling you, the amount of, you can call it synchronicities. I like to call them miracles, where I'm like, wow, how'd that happen? Or how synchronistic that this just so happens to be whatever that is. You know what I mean? I'm not going to insert whatever the interesting synchronicity, but it's on repeat. And it's usually, for me, it lets me know that that whatever I'm doing, I'm in the right spot, that I like, you know what I mean, to pay attention. And for me to usually like, you know, whatever, be the medic or be the, I don't know, be a helpful person when it's happening. You know what I mean? When you're in that zone, when you know that it's happening, I always like, okay, I'm turned on, whatever I'm going to be, I'm in medic mode. I'm here to like be as helpful as I can. And then you see it all unfold. So it's really just a helpful tip for the other people that might be watching and going through it right now.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Emma, I'd like to bring you into the conversation. So what have you learned about consciousness and reality from all of your experiences?
So far, not as mathematical as everyone else's. That's way over my head. My experiences have been more emotional and intuitive. I've also done a lot of astral traveling, like Kevin has mentioned, thousands of times, spontaneously going other planets, other dimensions, other realities, time traveling, portal opening, but mostly in my experiences connecting with different people. So doing different ways of healing, seeing people's pasts and their futures, learning how to heal their bodies, learning how to recover their memories, stuff like that. So with my experiences, it's been much more, I don't want to say physical because that's not really the right word, but I guess just more personal than mathematical, if that makes sense. And you guys are talking about like all of these numbers and sequences and everything. I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't even like listen to this information because it's too much. It's too much for my brain. It's completely different for me. So it's very emotion-based and intuitive, and I get tons of downloads, but it's personal stuff. It's like how to heal this person, how to talk to that person. I feel like in Disclosure Day, you guys were the man with all like his mathematical stuff, and mine's more like the woman who connected with these random knowings of all the people. That was me. That's my aspect of it.
All right, thank you. Gary, let's check your microphone and see if the audio is any better. Here, I'll unmute it for you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm good now. I'm good to go.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know where I left off, but I want to, you know, one of the things that happened to me that I want to share, and I haven't really had anyone tell me that this has happened to them, and I know lots of experiencers, people over the years, over the last 10 years that have been here. I've had people over 8 countries that have been here. I think 8 countries have been here to my house and have experienced ETs. But the thing is that when I went outside one night and I had planned on going out to sit and to invite them to come in to be with me, I was having my soup and I was listening to the little app that I had, and I was listening to the sounds and I was thinking about them. And then finally I decided it's time for me to go outside. It was all done. I cleaned up my dishes. I went outside, and as soon as I walked outside, I had that glitter bomb again appear over the house that starts like a shooting star and then it just explodes and then sucked back in. And I was gobsmacked by that right off the bat. So I grabbed my phone and I was going to call my girlfriend at the time to tell her what just happened to me, that I went for a contact experience, and they showed up right away. And as soon as I sat down in the chair to do that, there were two orbs that appeared in the tree in front of me over my head, about 30 feet up in the air. The one orb was the size of a basketball, and it was just rotating around, scintillating, and it was blue and white, beautiful, beautiful blue and white colors. And then there was another one that was about 4 or 5 feet away, and that was a little smaller, and that was doing the same thing. It was rolling around on top of the tree like this, and I could see all the blue and the white colors. And I just being amazed and just sitting there looking at it for a second, and all of a sudden out of the tree in front of me came all these flash bulbs, one after another. I don't know if there were 12 or if there were 20. But boom, 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 boom. And as they came at me, each one exploded. I could clearly see they were all the same size. They were about the size of a golf ball. Every one of them had either 10 or 12 dots around the orb. So they were all identical, whether that was like a clock or some kind of a mandala. But as they exploded, I could see the white, blue, orange, red spark right in my face. They covered me in a liquid love. I was covered inside the divine. I was in God. I was inside the divine, completely in a plasma of liquid love. Something like no one could ever experience. You would never understand how I could even explain to you what real love is, because as we live in this 3 dimension, we do not feel that kind of love. We never, ever felt that from our family, from our mother, from anyone. This is a totally different thing. When that happened to me, I think it was about maybe an hour, 90 minutes. I just walked around the house bawling. My shirt was soaking wet from crying. I couldn't stop. When it happened to me, my eyes turned into garden hoses. I was just crying. I never felt or experienced anything like that. So after I was done and I could finally come to my senses, and I started calling people, a lot of people had, oh, I don't know what you're doing or what happened to you. Something may have happened. Something really happened to me. And as a result of that, I decided that I would dedicate the rest of my life to helping people see that this is a reality, because I was physically assaulted, physically affected with love. Now, that's not a psyop. That's not somebody faking that from the government saying, this or that or the other thing, and the government doesn't want you to see them anyway. They're not going to show up for you like that. So when I experienced that type of a thing, I just want all my friends and family to experience that. I want them all to feel and to understand that this is real, and that your consciousness can bring this to you. You can actually meet other beings. And as a result, over the last 10 years, I've become an ambassador to these beings and friends. And I don't know to this day if that was my real star family or my physical family, my mom and dad, my grandparents, my best friends who died. But somebody came and they just loved me and covered me in love. And that is important for people to understand, that that is there, and that they can break through these dimensions and show you what they have to offer us. And that should tell you right there that these beings are loving, kind, friendly, want to help us. They have given us telepathic messages. I've gotten several over the years. We've had experiences here that totally blow you right off the planet. I mean, you cannot believe what they can do in front of you to show you that they're here. Whether it's a sky show hologram or an orb that shows up the size of a UPS truck right in front of everybody in your driveway, all kinds of things happen here. So they're always with me. They play games. They play jokes with me. They make me laugh out loud. My head spins around like the Linda Blair in The Exorcist. Sometimes I can't understand how they could pull off some of the stunts that they do, because they're stunts. But what they are showing you is that these are not coincidences. This is how they manipulate time. They can change things around. I was talking to a friend in Spain, and we were talking on the phone, and it was the day that he was there riding his motorcycle, and we were talking all about Spain. And all of a sudden, the subject came up about the Queen of Spain, and I was telling about the book I read about the discovery of Florida in 1536. So I looked it up on Google, and I got to Wikipedia, and I read the first Queen of Spain was Catherine the Great, who died in 1536, and she was the first wife of Henry VIII. And I said, wow, that's cool. So then we were done talking, and I went and did my stuff. And the next morning, I'm going in my studio with a cup of coffee in my hand, and I turn the radio on, and I'm listening to Sunday Baroque. And the very first thing out of the announcer's mouth is, this is a tune written by Domenico Scarlatti for the first Queen of Spain, Catherine the Great, who died in 1536. She was the first wife of Henry VIII. I spit my coffee all over my clothes and all over the floor. I couldn't believe what had happened to me. And this is just one of the things that they pull. And it's like, you can't figure out, did the chicken or the egg come first? What did they do? Did they tell me to look that up on Wikipedia, knowing that this guy was going to be on the radio substituting for the host, and he was going to play this at that time? I would walk in my studio and turn the radio on, and it would happen right there. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that you have to be aware of with your consciousness, because it's there. It's for all of us that are experiencing it. We all have the ability. We all have our frequencies raised as a result of this, and that's how we do that. And we do that through love, and we invoke love. The other night, I'm out with my dog, and I said, my one dog passed away. We had to put him to sleep a couple of weeks ago, and I'm holding my other dog, and I pet him, and I said, Elmo, I love you. And as soon as I did, a shooting star came flying across the sky. I mean, it's like, this is where we are.
Yep, it's like we're living in a dream, and the dream could be manipulated.
It's a wonderful experience. I feel like I'm one of the most lucky people on the planet. I mean, at first, I was afraid and some things that happened, and people would make fun, and they would make comments about me. And you know what? The ETs told me to take off the gloves. Now I know what that meant. I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think. I don't care about any of that stuff. I know what's real. And so do you people, and it's like, that's what's important, that we show other people. And Steven Spielberg just opened the door for us.
That's right.
Ooh. I wanted to ask, has everyone seen the movie? If you have, raise your hand. Emma, did you see it too?
Haven't seen it, Kevin? Oh my
Kevin,
God.
no?
No, not yet.
Oh, you got to watch it.
Right.
Well, no, I'm looking forward to watching it, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's amazing.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys, a lot of people who've watched it had very strong emotional responses. Some people even cried. And so I wanted to know if you guys had that emotional reaction, and why did it resonate so deep with you? Who wants to go first?
Can I go?
Go ahead, Nadalee.
Thank you. I actually did a whole movie review with John and I can't remember the other guy's name. I'm sorry. I can't remember his name, but it's published on YouTube. But anyway, so yeah, I was beside myself after this movie was done, and I just sat there, and I felt like I had been thrown through a whirlwind of emotions, because it hit me to my core at my deepest level. And I know a lot of other people don't understand that right now, because if you think about Steven Spielberg's movies, either everybody really loves it or they don't like it. But this movie, there's a split, there's a divide, and no one's addressing the elephant in the room here. Like, why is there a split and a divide on this movie? And it's simple, because this movie was made for experiencers and people who are in the disclosure field, because we resonate with all this hidden stuff within that movie. There's a lot of stuff in there, and boy, can I break it all down, but we don't have time to break it all down. But overall, the movie is about empathy. People don't realize that. And it's about balancing the left and right side of your brain so you can listen. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but yeah, it's just got a lot of stuff in there, but there are two main characters, and they're experiencers, and they help bring about disclosure. That's all I'm going to say. But they represent, in my opinion, all of experiencers bringing forth disclosure. And there's a lot of other stuff hidden in the movie that relates to real life and abductions, and the technology that they use in the movie. Mm-hmm. Based on the paper that I wrote and all the other accounts and stuff. So, but anyway, the movie is a key to unlock a lot of stuff within us. There's people who are having emotions with this movie, and they don't even know why. And they're like, why am I having emotions? Because they're experiencers and they don't know it. He is unlocking people. He is activating people. And that actually goes into the movie as well, as activations and the downloads. And we just talked about all of that stuff. So he literally has done his homework, and he knows stuff and beyond what other people can imagine. He's either an experiencer himself, or he's interviewed thousands of experiencers, or something is going on here, because he hit it on the nail. And I was just like, I had to sit on the floor outside of the theater. I was just like, I need a minute.
Need a minute to process here.
Oh yeah.
Jarrett, what about you? I know in our WhatsApp chat you were saying how emotionally impactful it was to you.
Yeah, I watched it early. I got to watch it a day early, so I was grateful for that opportunity. I cried. Oh my gosh, it was very emotional for me. Um, like when you tell some people, because there are some people that have a range of reactions to flat out denial. For a lot of people, it was like validation. That's really important for our community, is feeling validated and heard. There's been people in this community that have been talking about this and making space for people like us for over 40 plus years. You know what I mean? Since the beginning, since Roswell, since before that, actually, I guess. But they've made it available for us to basically sprint down this as fast as we can and take this as far as we can and as fast as we can. And to basically be in a state of gratitude, you know what I mean? I know that along the way, right, because this is the age of disclosure, right? Along the way, I like to look at this from a medical perspective. And boy, howdy, like every one of us, we're all carrying, I would say, like a flashlight or like a lightsaber that pierces through illusion. You know what I mean? Like people that are experiencers know you cannot lie, or like there's no, like for us, it's like, like they try to cover your eyes, but you're like, I can clearly see what's going on here. Sorry, you can't cover these eyeballs anymore. I can see through your illusion. That's part of the phenomenon as well. You're just aware of stuff that people are like, oh, they're not aware of this, right? And you're like, nope, I'm completely aware. I don't know how I know, but I know. And this is a common phenomenon with experiencers. We just have this awareness. As far as the emotions, I cried heavily. Just because I don't know, these guys go through so much. I don't want to give away any of the details, but there is so much emotions that are pushed through that is leading people to the same thing. This word, empathy. It is a key word. It's huge in the healthcare world, right? Empathy is like one of the key, like a lot of the healthcare providers that I work with ooze this thing. They empathized so much. We do. This is normal for people that work in this field. You know what I mean? Like you can tell, if somebody is in a lot of pain. For somebody that's worked in healthcare, you can see it or hear it or feel it a mile away. But it's not, I'm using pain as like an example, but there's a range of emotions that we can tap into, that we can sympathize and empathize with, truly empathize with. And from there, we can vibe with each other. Once you start getting into that vibe, it doesn't always have to be like in pain or in the healing field. A lot of the experiencers, we like to have fun. A lot of us are on the fun bus, so we like to vibe there. So keep that in mind too. I get it. It's like a full range, but a lot of us like to play games and party. We're normal, just like you guys. And we like to be on the high vibe train. And it's been really fun too when you stay in that high vibe frequency for long periods of time safely and do it safely. Oh man, look where we are now.
Right, right.
We've come a long way very quickly.
Yes. Emma, what was your response? Did you get emotional too with the movie?
So I didn't get very emotional with Disclosure Day, although the emotions that everyone's saying that they had with that movie, I had when what was it called? The Fourth Kind came out like ages ago. That's when I had my like emotional breakdown. That movie was really difficult for me to watch, and I was just kind of bawling and then went numb and couldn't speak for hours and hours. So with this movie, everyone is saying they were crying and having all of these big emotional experiences. So I was planning for that experience that I had with The Fourth Kind, and it wasn't that. And instead, I actually felt a huge just relief. It was like a breath of fresh air. Like, I'm so happy this movie is out. I'm so happy that people are seeing this side of things. Whereas before, the experiences were so portrayed as horrific and terrifying and horror story, and now it's not. And so for me, I loved it, but it was such, I felt like I could breathe just watching it through, and it was such just a peaceful, like, this is great. So that it was so peaceful for me.
Thank you. And Gary, did you share about your response to the movie?
Yes, I cried when I saw the first preview, and every time I saw a preview, I had tears in my eyes. And when I was at the theater, I had tears the whole entire time, especially when the crop circles appeared, because I met the people that do that, and through their telepathy telling me that they did that after they pulled off a huge hologram sky show over my farm for a group that we had one night. So, but I think that one of the things that makes us feel that emotion is that the whole movie expresses an urgency, and the urgency is that we want to tell everybody this is real. And they are trying to show the world and reveal this to the world, and so are we. So we were essentially them through the whole movie, and that's how I think that your emotions come up, because it's building and building and building, and you're being chased, and you're trying to get this information out, and the ETs are helping you, and it was just to me, it was an amazing movie. I did not like all the action and the shooting and all the explosions, but that is one thing that was done to help people understand the seriousness of the whole situation, as well as bring other people into this realm that are not familiar with it. So they can, your sci-fi people and all that, they can come into that realm, and they can see this and say, hey, look, I maybe ought to take another look at this. Maybe this is real. Maybe these people are having these experiences, and all these whistleblowers are for real, and they're not bullshitting. I mean, why would they risk their lives and their jobs and everything else to try to say this is real, and you people need to know about it?
Thank you. Yes. So I wanted to do, no, Kevin, you didn't see the movie, so you can't give an opinion. And hopefully we didn't spoil it for you.
I have read many reviews about it, so I'm very intrigued to watch it. And I'll be very interested how I react to it emotionally, because I've spoken to many of my friends who are experiencers, and they are very affected emotionally. So I'll be very interested to see, because my contact is extensive, and it's been from childhood, and it's just normal to me. It's who I am. It's a part of who I am. So I'm intrigued how I will react emotionally to it. So perhaps I can come back sometime and tell you when I've seen it. So
Okay,
I'm going to watch it
do that.
soon, hopefully.
Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
I want to say that the Higher Journeys podcast with Alexis Brooks, she has a program that she just did called Disclosure Day Made People Cry, and the reason no one's talking about it. So if you will go to that, that podcast when you have time and watch that Higher Journeys podcast, it's really, really a wonderful program. And she also has Daryl Anka on there.
Okay, thank you. I was just sharing a comment there. So I want to do a brief synopsis of the UAP disclosure that's happened over the last 2 months. It's because it's been pretty intense. On May 8th, Dr. Stephen Greer, he had his 25th anniversary of the Disclosure Project at the National Press Club there in DC. And that same day was the first release of the files, the UFO files on war.gov. Then on May 22nd, Representative Eric Burleson put forth some interrogatories to the MITRE Corporation or Foundation to get some information from them about what they have in terms of UAP. And that same day is when release number 2 came out on the UFO website there on the war.gov. Then on May 28th, the controversial, I shall say, aliens.gov website, went, and we can talk about that in a minute, Nadalee, about if they conflated the concept of aliens with immigration, and it wasn't funny. People didn't like that. Then on June 9th, there was a Capitol Hill press conference with David Grush and a lot of the UAP caucus. Also, then 3 days later is when Disclosure Day premiered, and that was the third tranche of files released on the war.gov website. Then, of course, 2 days later, we had Danny Sheehan start his Q&A series on Sundays, which I will give everyone the link to that because we have one more Sunday to go this Sunday. Then on June 25th, there was a disclosure forum for 7.5 hours that was held in DC. And then 5 days later was the MK Ultra congressional hearing. So there has been a lot, disclosed and revealed over these last just 2 months. Has been very intense. I mean, of course, it's been happening little by little. Age of Disclosure, that documentary came out in November. But so now we have this buildup. And so looking at where we are today, my question is, how do you personally assess the state of UAP disclosure and transparency as experiencers? And I'll let whoever wants to go first answer.
I could go first since I didn't speak about the movie because I hadn't seen it. So I've been following all the things you just mentioned there, Leslie, with interest. I still feel that there's a fear and threat narrative that's coming out through the government. There's no talk of experiences at all within the disclosure project, as it were. So they really need to include the experiences if they're going to get a full picture. But if they want to control the narrative, then they don't want experiences speaking out with a positive, benevolent star families who are here to assist with our evolution. And assisting with that evolution is expanding our understanding of consciousness itself. And again, going back to, so really it's not about disclosure that the ETs are here. They've always been here. What they're scared about, or the governments are frightened of, is the fact that we learn who we are. And we learn to use our natural human psychic abilities, psychic intelligence, knowing, intuition, self-healing, even down to astral traveling, interdimensional travel, using consciousness itself. That's what they're afraid of. They don't want us learning who we are. Our human history has been hidden from us, and our galactic history has been denied us. We all have a lineage of where we've come from, and that's what they're frightened of. So they're trying to follow this fear and threat narrative, and they do it throughout all the things I've seen from the government. We need to push the benevolent ETs who are here to assist with our evolution, and part of that evolution is understanding consciousness itself. Then we cannot be controlled. We will become a free galactic cosmic family and go back to the roots from where we came from. So that's really where we're headed, but we have to take the lead in this, because the government's not going to do it unless they include the experiences, and they're not going to do that because they don't want us to know that we've been given information about who we are, about the natural human abilities. And our star families are very concerned about the pollution on the planet. They will share technologies with us to help us clean up that pollution. They're particularly concerned about Fukushima, they tell me, in relation to the radiation pollution that's still leaking from there. So we need to do something. We need to make contact. We need to tell people and share with people that our star families are benevolent. I'm sure there are some evil ones, as there are evil humans. But the majority, and I'm sure we're all here, we all have positive contact with our star family. They are benevolent. You can speak to them. You can learn to use your natural telepathic abilities, your psychic abilities, and become a more advanced human. So we evolve from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous, which is the enlightened human being. And that's where we're heading.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, there was a lot right there. But it's all true, and I totally agree with you, Nadalee. I think that's why you've started the United Experiencers Initiative, to help all the experiencers, because I love how you say we are disclosure, because I think it's up to the people, and that's why Citizens for Disclosure is so important. We're in the age of Aquarius, and so that is about we, not me. It's about unity. It's about doing things together, and because we're in a democracy, we have this government, and it's our responsibility, I think, to make the government serve the people, and because it's been taken by the corporations and the people with power and money. Go ahead, Nadalee.
Yes, Kevin got me real pumped up. you already know you did. So yeah, I completely agree. Experiencers need a spot in disclosure, and if you think about it, I've broken this down in my head over the past couple of weeks. What's going on in Congress? It's fine. It's amazing. Whistleblowers coming forward, all of this stuff. It's good, but it's the left brain. Here we are again with the left and the right brain. They're the left brain of the whole operation. They're talking about the nuts and bolts, the technology, and all that stuff. But we represent the right brain of the phenomenon, the part that's in tune, the empathetic, the ones that are communicating with them. There are so many experiencers out there, and I use this analogy all the time, but there's more experiencers than you think, because imagine going to a grocery store and you're checking out, but it turns out the person behind you is an experiencer, but they won't know you're an experiencer, or you won't know each other's an experiencer until one of you speaks up. Okay? So the more we speak up, the more we talk about our experiences, the more other people will come forward. And the ETs have directly led me to create the United Experiencers Initiative, or UEI for short, to help us have a platform, to have a space to come forward, to have that strength and courage, and literally just the power to just do and change the world. Our full motto is we are disclosure, we are change. We can bring about change. But in the UEI, it's open to everyone, anyone who wants change and world peace and all of that stuff. And we advocate for free healthcare, free education, free housing, universal income, all that good stuff, all the stuff that we should have had a long time ago as beings on this planet. Like, it's ridiculous that we have to pay to live on the planet. It's absolutely insane. And there's people out there living in the streets that shouldn't be living in the streets, and we have all the resources that we need. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But the UEI, it's giving us that voice, that platform to share the messages that they've given us, which is to love yourself, love each other, and take care of the planet. So yeah, let's just go forward. And I'd like to hear anybody's opinions on that going forward today as well. Also, we have a July 11th launch coming up. I just want to throw it up in the middle of here. It's 7 p.m. for the UEI's actual full public launch, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And Kevin is actually going to be a guest speaker. Yeah. So Grant Cameron is going to be the host, but we're going to talk about all things UEI and experiencers and how we can come together and help the world, and how is it going to look as we go along in that process. But I agree. Long story short, just to sum it up, we need a voice at the table. It's very important for us to speak up right now and share that compassion and bring the empathy to the table, because there's been a lot of brainwashing over time to make people think that experiencers are crazy. Like, dissolving the stigma is one of the biggest things that we're going to be doing within the UEI as well. And it's not going to be an easy job. And we have to be tough. We have to be courageous. But the thing is, we can be stronger together. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Jared, Emma, or Gary, would you like to share anything more about your take on UAP transparency and everything that's been happening in the last 2 months?
I'll share something that I've been sharing with my son. So I have a 12-year-old son who's also an experiencer, and he kind of has shut off his mind window, we call it, his memory, because he hasn't been able to process his experiences as well. And so there's a lot of fear behind what he's been experiencing. And so one thing that I've been helping him, and it's beautiful because we are collectively going on this journey together. And I have a child that I can like bring along on the journey with me and like show him all of these things that are going on in the media right now and in movies and this and that, and show him that this is real and it doesn't need to be something that we need to be afraid of. And we're currently watching Resident Alien on Netflix, and it's hilarious, and it's so just like family friendly and warm, and like the people are falling in love with the alien and the alien is falling in love with the people, and I love that aspect of it. And same like with the Avatar movies, that it gives us a different view of what we have been conditioned to believe, that they're right, terrible and horrible and want to kill us and all of this. And I think it's a really fun and beautiful way to start integrating these changes that are happening, because we collectively at the moment are like children. We have such a conditioned mind to believe everything that we've been brought up to believe in our culture, in our society, with the old news and the old stories and the lies and everything that's happened. And we're needing to be fed just piece by piece through whatever forms that we can process as humans. And I think so much of us are on, and not to like put an adult down on a child's level, but we need that. We need to kind of just dumb things down a bit and be like, oh, let's watch a cute family alien movie, and oh hey, haha, it's fun and warming and cozy, and oh maybe they're not so bad. We need that. We need that aspect of it as well. So I love the fact that all of this stuff is coming out in the way that it is. I think there's a lot of people on both sides, the experiencers, the right brain, the left brain, everything. They're kind of fighting, and each one wanting to have a voice. I think in my experience, or my belief, everything that's happening that needs to happen is happening right now. And I think that's beautiful. As an experiencer myself, I would love to have a little bit more of a voice, but we're getting there. We're doing it. We all, from the sounds of it, had podcasts. I have a podcast called Project Beyond. Like, we're all getting our voice out there. So I think we're doing exactly what we need to do. And in return, we're receiving exactly what we need to receive.
I love that, Emma. There's a great question here from Autumn Mitchell. Is it possible to be an experiencer and not know it? If yes, how would you find out? Who would like to answer? And I guess it would be Emma, the regressionist.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's possible to be an experiencer and not remember any of it. So as an experiencer myself, who has both remembered the experiences and been forced to forget the experiences, there is something that happens in a lot of experiences, without repeating myself so many times, where you are forced to forget. So those memories are placed still in the back of your mind, but in a box. And to retrieve those memories, things like hypnotherapy, different forms of regression and meditation can help you access those memories. So that's something that I do if anyone is interested. And it's a beautiful journey, and nothing is uncovered that you don't want to see or remember.
So I'm putting your website on there, quantumhealingmemoryretrieval.com. Would that be a good place where people can reach out to you?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Who else would like to share about that?
Yeah, I could share something, Leslie, but I know I seem to be speaking quite a bit, but I've got a good friend, many of you may know her, Seb Tock, and she epitomizes that, really. I said she's a very good friend. In fact, I was up at Gary's with her a while ago, and she had to be woken up by the ETs themselves because she was in denial that she was had contact with these beings and things. And they actually, I think they put a little dot on her backside on a couple of occasions to wake her up. And then once she woke up, the information she receives, and now she speaks out, she's got a podcast, she's well known, she's sharing, she's representing all the experiences. So yes, it is possible to be an experiencer and not know it. The memories are suppressed, but obviously in seven, and she talks openly about it. I'm not saying anything that I shouldn't out of school, as it were. So yeah, it is possible to be an experiencer and not know.
Gary or Jared, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, where do I start here? Well said, Kevin and Emma. Who here has seen Elio? Anybody seen Elio?
Mm-mm.
All right. To echo what Emma was saying about needing this like happy, feel good connection. I mean, this is a running theme with the movie that we just with Disclosure Day. Like I deeply resonated with the main characters. I saw myself as both of the characters. Where I was like, oh my gosh, what they're going through. Like I had a weird version of it. Like the whole time I'm like looking at my family and like, see, the whole, like every like 2.5 minutes I'm like nonverbal communicating, pointing at the screen and Spider-Manning it straight up. Elio is very similar. Like I deeply resonate with the main character Elio, where I don't want to do any spoilers, but for the people that have seen it, hi, I'm Elio. You know what I mean? And I speak Elioese. You know what I mean? It's this like reoccurring theme with like people that have contact, where they're like, I speak this language, or I can see things. Like I have this awareness where I can see this thing, and they try to communicate it to other people, but usually it comes across as like, hey man, you're weird. What the heck are you talking about? You know what I mean? That's usually how like the translation comes off initially for people that aren't on that frequency or don't know what this person, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like a frequency or two different trains going in different directions. I guess you could say Bashar calls it like the splitting prism, I think is the way that he phrases it. It's kind of like that. You know what I mean? But overall it's positive. I mean, I don't know. I can go in many directions here, but I don't want to take up too much of the space. So gratitude.
Well, it is getting late. We've been at it for just over an hour and a half. So I do want to kind of start wrapping it up. We are all Citizens for Disclosure volunteers. So I wanted to quickly ask you guys, what have you liked about being a Citizens for Disclosure volunteer? What kind of impact has it had on your life? And anyone can go.
I've had good experiences since I've been on these Zooms and listening to the information. Although I try to not get too tied up in it, because I know that what's happening is they're going to take money from these contractors, and then they're going to flip and say, national security, we can't tell you about this stuff. And we need to just ignore that. We need to just go ahead and do what we're doing. And when we did our little tabling event at the Bigfoot conference a couple weeks ago in Ocala, we met lots of experiencers, and that was really my focus, was to help people join and get involved in Citizens for Disclosure. But by meeting experiences, we're expanding our grassroots program. I mean, we're in the disclosure movement, and it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. And then when you meet all these other people and find out they're having the similar experiences that you are, and they have groups and they do things together, it's just a mind blower, you know, and it just makes you feel so much more positive towards everything that you're doing, and it just gives you more courage.
Yes. The community building has been something that you've enjoyed, Gary.
Yes, and you know, and one of the things I wanted to mention that Emma was talking about, and while we were all talking about this, is when you are an artist, an actor, musician, a creator, and you're creating things all the time, your frequency is already elevated, and the reason that is that ETs contact more people that are creators, because we live with our right brain. We're living more in our heart space, in our right brain, and that's how we're able to keep our frequency up, because we're within that framework of love. And when you're in that, you're the people they want to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that theme of love I've heard from Nadalee and you, Gary, and Jared, Kevin. I don't remember you saying that specifically.
I have an experience when I was 17. I was I traveled out of body with Art, and he said, I'm going to take you somewhere special tonight. Would you go with me? And I said, yes. So I left my body. I looked down. I could see him fast asleep. We went out through the roof, and we just kept going up and up and up and up and up into a higher dimension. In that dimension, there was a line of 30 people. At the head of the line was my deceased father. And he said, I'm going to introduce you to your family members going back 30 generations. Now, the feeling of love from those 30 people, 30 generations from my family, was overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. I've never felt love like that before. And I kept going back to see them, and with Art a few times, and then I got so confident I could go and meet them on my own. And every time I went, this overwhelming feeling of love was just tremendous. It made me want to stay. They kept asking me to stay, and I said, no, I've got things I need to do down there in the third dimension. And I visited them on my own over a 2-year period on a regular basis. And I was eventually finding it harder and harder to get back. I was drawn to that love that emanated from them. So I haven't had the love from the ETs, but I've had that love from my family members going back 30 generations. So I'm aware of that feeling of love, but I know I'm part of my star family. They tell me that I'm part of their extended family, only my physical is in the third dimension, where their physical is in the fifth dimension, and the only difference between the dimensions are the frequencies of consciousness. And I suspect that's where they gave me that equation to explain that, really. So yeah, so I understand that feeling of love. It is overwhelming, but I haven't had that feeling with the ETs, no.
Wonderful. Anybody else want to say anything about Citizens for Disclosure? I did put the link there. I'm going to put the link for the Sunday series if anyone wants to join the last Q&A session that Danny Sheehan is doing. He's the president of the New Paradigm Institute, which where the Citizens for Disclosure arm is part of. So any other thoughts about Citizens for Disclosure before we move on?
I just want to say I am very grateful for everyone within the CFD and Danny Sheehan and everyone out there. And I love you all so much, and just keep fighting the good fight. Keep going forward and doing what you're doing. And I've met so many people along the way, and I've made so many friends, and we're doing so many good things for Disclosure. So keep up the good work, and we're going to help everyone. Everyone's going to help each other. We're in this together. So thank you.
Yeah, I could just mention one more thing. I know I keep talking, but I was given a message from the Council of Eight for Danny Sheehan. Now, very often I'm given messages for various people, and I've learnt now over the years just to share that message. So I shared that message with Olivia, and hopefully Danny Sheehan will receive the message, and I'm hoping that he will respond to that message. And within that message was a question about experiences, which clearly our star families are very interested in our experiences having a voice. But I find it interesting that the Council of Eight reached out through me with a message for Danny Sheehan for the Citizens for Disclosure. They're already interacting with us. We are already post-disclosure group as experiencers. So I've learned a lot from the CFD. I love being a member of the CFD, and I met so many people within that group, and I'm now part of that community. So yeah, and we'll move forward. We'll share the information that we have to others who are interested in the subject. Yeah.
Yes, and I know New Paradigm Institute is adding the consciousness aspect to what they're going to be working on, besides just the governmental, advocacy aspect of it as well. So consciousness is going to be more part of the conversation with CFD. So I want to ask the one final question on this World UFO Day. What is one message that you'd like to leave the people watching tonight with? And we'll go around the room. Kevin, do you want to start?
No.
No, okay. I skipped to Nadalee. We can come back.
Okay. So the one message I want to leave for the entire world, or whoever's listening right now, watching this in the future or right now, is that be patient with yourself, be patient with each other, and forgiveness. And know that forgiveness is a way of life, not a single act. You must love yourself, love each other, and take care of the planet together. And we can create a better future in no time. And that's what they want. That's what we all want. Let's get it done. Let's do this.
Thank you. Gary, would you like to go next?
I think that one of the messages that everyone should know is that God is within all of us, and the divine resides within inside of us, all the energy that we have, and we can use our consciousness to connect to all these other beings, and we can create reality with our mind. I read Ramtha all the time, and it's about self-love and respect, and the fact that knowing that you are going to be living forever and go through more and more experiences over and over again in different places and different adventures. And life is just wonderful, and we should all experience it together and love one another and help one another.
Thank you. Love that. Jared, what message do you have for us?
I want to start with just like an emotion first. So like, woo! Right? I'll start with that first. Do what excites you right now. Do what excites you right now, even if it's a tiny, small thing. Give it all of your energy. Give it full energy and push it as far as you can. Let go of basically what you might think the result will be or should look like, and have fun. Trust and know that the universe has your back. And yeah. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing it right now. I'm grateful to be part of this group. I want to end with gratitude. You know what I mean? Like, this space will get bigger, and, we'll get more familiar with each other, because we're all building a space for each other. And we're all going to get more comfortable with this whole process. So we just need to trust quote unquote, trust the process, right? It's all changing, but trust that it's a process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jared. Emma,
My
what
message,
message do you have for us?
my message would be just to be more curious and allow yourself to be open to hearing stories, sharing stories, And just let that curiosity drive you, that childlike curiosity. I feel like when we can tap into that aspect of us, it opens the world. When we're little, we see, we experience so much more because we have that open, curious mind. So tap into that curiosity again.
I love that. Being like a child. All right, Kevin.
Okay.
Any message?
My message will be a message from the Council of Eight, really. They tell me that we are moving towards the golden years for humanity. When we have open contact, they will share their technologies with us. They will help us clean up the pollution in our planet. And they've already requested a mandated protocol to receive them. And I have a copy of that in front of me here. There's 3 parts to it, really. Mandated protocol to receive our ET star families ambassadors. The second part is a protocol for peaceful contact, peaceful open contact with our ET star families. And the last statement says within it, in witness thereof, the undersigned being authorized by their birthright as born of this earth. And one of the signatures on there is Dr. Melanie Barton. So we already have a mandated protocol that has been requested by our star families. So we're already making that communication. And we must remember that they are benevolent. They are here to assist with our evolution. And part of that evolution is learning and understanding consciousness itself, shared consciousness with our star family. So moving forward towards the golden years, and the experiences, the Citizens for Disclosure are all going to be a part of that, I'm sure.
Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, everyone here, Kevin, Nadalee, Gary, Jared, Emma, and everyone watching. This has been a wonderful get-together. I would like us to maybe do it again because I only went through like half of my questions. So there's so much to discuss, but I really appreciate you spending your time and sharing your stories with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. So yes, love to. So tonight we looked at personal experiences, meaning, and possibility. This is World UFO Day, and this is where history continues to open into what comes next. Thank you for being part of Disclosure Dialogues, and we will see you next time. Peace out, everyone.